All right, testing. Is this thing on? Check 1, 2. Sounds like I am on. Let me turn this thing on here. Sweet. Everything looking good. What is up, after party? I'm just gonna start calling you after party. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully you're doing well. I am doing quite well myself. It's a beautiful day out, and today is a special bonus stream. Normally I do not stream on Wednesdays, but I figured as a kind of thank you for helping me hit 2,000 subscribers, I would do a little extra bonus stream. I've actually been thinking about switching up the stream schedule a little bit and maybe streaming a little more, maybe changing the hours, maybe doing it earlier, maybe doing it later. I haven't really decided, but this is also kind of like a test run to see how it feels streaming on different days of the week than I normally do. So I didn't have a lot planned for this stream. One thing that I did want to do is talk a little bit about video synthesis with VS, which after party you had, I think it was you who was asking about it yesterday. But I downloaded the demo version. I have only opened it to make sure it's working, but I have no idea how it works other than that. So I was going to do a little bit of fun exploration of doing video synthesis with a third-party plugin in Live, and then hopefully being able to send it audio from Live and make it respond and make it do cool stuff. But I'm going to keep this pretty open format. Anybody who, if you have questions or things you want to talk about, feel free to toss it in chat. It's going to be a pretty chill hangout stream today. It's kind of the idea, or at least that's my process behind what I was going to be doing today. And hopefully you enjoyed the intro music. That was a remix I did a while back for some former students of mine. But so let's check out VS because it looks really cool. And video synthesis is one of those areas that I think is there's a lot of room to explore this. I'm just using the demo version because I literally just downloaded this last night, which I assume is why it says the, oops, let's get out of here. I don't even know what I did. Why it says the name here in front of everything. But yeah, so we're gonna look at this. We're gonna explore with it. I'm gonna try to narrate this as much as possible. If you guys have any thoughts or ideas or things you would like to see me explore, let me know in the chat. So from what I can tell, it looks like there's 8 oscillators. We got different oscillators here, and we can turn them on and off individually. And they should show up here. That one's on. Is on. So yeah, you can turn them on and off individually here. I don't know what I did that switched the settings. The profile thing, that's that. Okay, here, default patch. We're gonna start with the default patch because that's the easiest way to do it. So yeah, we got one oscillator here, it looks like, and we can do things to play with it. We turn it off on here. We can solo, that's pretty sweet. And then we can do things like brightness, so you can see it's going from like a little line here to get like a fuller line. We can change the speed. Speed also controls direction, so if you go that direction, it looks like it's moving forward, or this way it's moving backwards. We got location on an X and Y coordinates. That's pretty cool. We got a radius control here. We got noise. Ooh, noise is interesting. Just gonna kind of shift it around a little bit. And we got glow. Those are all very cool. And then we have color here. Those are all pretty sweet. I'm kind of digging those. We got brightness to go with it. Got normal. We got different kind of like filters or something with it. Cool. Well, we're gonna make this do something like that. And play with the brightness, play with the speed a little bit. All right, all that stuff is pretty dope. And then if we hit this button down here, we get, are these LFOs or are these the waveform? Oh yeah, attack release. So I'm not sure if these are, can sync it, can change the waveform here. Interesting. So we have a free or keyboard mapped. Yeah, sample and hold. And we have a bunch of them. So assuming these are just LFOs, and then we can map these somewhere. And then we also have a something like that. And then I'm assuming this is like an envelope that can respond to audio that you pump through it. Not sure yet. We have channel controls there. Undo, redo there. Okay, and then here's where we can map them. Perfect. This is pretty dope. All right, so we got LFO 1 through 4, we got envelope generator, amplitude modulation, keyboard tracking, and velocity. Dope, I like that. So we can apply any one of these LFOs to any one of these places. I wish you could see both of these at the same time. That'd be super cool. But say I want to apply LFO 1 to hue. And let's go back to LFO 1 by hitting this guy. And let's make this just a sine wave. Wait, that worked. It makes sense. That works working. Click on this guy again, change the amount here. I'm assuming we can have multiple LFOs go to one place. Or let's do this one at a time. So changing hue, so just change the color. Now we have this go to saturation, so you can kind of see it shifting brightness. And alpha. It's a little more subtle on that one. Cool, so we can make things move using an LFO. Pretty straightforward. I'm gonna turn these down and we'll just do hue and saturation right now. So I do different ones. So let's get back to our LFOs. And then phase free or synced. No, it's sync on. There we go. So now it's on eighth notes. We can change the rate here. And this is automatically tempo synced to tempo synced to live, I'm assuming. Here we got a half bar. We change the tempo here, change the tempo here. So automatically tempo synced, great. That's pretty sweet. So the half notes there. So it looks like you can't apply the LFO to the speed, the XY, radius, noise, or glow. At least not right now. We go back in here because we only have those as options. But that's still pretty cool. So the other thing, and then we turn it on off here. So we go to number 2. You can turn it on and off. Let's solo this one. So the thing that I need to know or need to figure out next is how do you control each one of these? Like, how do you control the original shape? Like this one is this little circle guy. This one just looks like the background. But can still change the brightness. I can still change the color. But we're not getting different options in here. So does each one, there's like a control for each one of those? That just makes it big. What's up, DJ Emo? How are you doing today? I want to change the function of this. Oops, recording. That's cool. That's awesome. You can actually it automatically screen captures here and records. That's really sick. All right, how do I switch the mode? Perfect, that's what I was looking for. All right, let me exit out of this. So, from what I can tell, if you want to change the kind of like the mode or the starting thing you're doing, you got to right click on the channel or oscillator, I guess. I don't know exactly what they call it. And then click on materials. Then we can choose any one of these guys. So we can do like the color pipe. You guys let me know if there's any that seem particularly cool for you. We're going to start off simple because I don't want to overdo it. Let's do the cube. So now we got a green cube. We can XY control it. We can adjust the size of it. Okay, so all these controls change depending on which one you're using. So Emo, we are using a third-party plugin called VS, which is just, I'm assuming stands for video synth. It's a video synthesizer. I honestly don't know how much it costs because I just downloaded the demo version. We can look it up real quick. It's one we were looking at on stream yesterday, but I hadn't tried it before. How much does it cost to buy? Oh, that's cool. It's either €9 a month for rent to own, or just buy the whole thing for €99, which is honestly really affordable. I was expecting it to be much more expensive than this. So I like the rent to own. I like being able to buy it. I like the options. Both seem pretty affordable. Much cheaper than what I paid for my hardware video synth. And it's got a local functionality. It works as a VST. I want to figure out the basics of it and try to kind of understand how it all works. And then I want to try sending both MIDI through it from live and see if we can control it with a MIDI controller, and also send audio through live and see if we can get it respond to audio. But I want to get the basics of it down first, just to kind of see the ins and outs and figure out what's going on here. So yeah, so we got X and Y, we got our size control, we got a rotation, rotation X, rotation Y, and we got thickness. Cool. I'm hoping I can apply an alpha to thickness. So we're going to go into here now. So unfortunately, we still only get the same controls that we can LFO. I think it's going to keep on asking me this until I buy it. But actually, I probably will buy this. I think this is actually pretty cool. So if I want to apply an alpha to the thickness, that would be super cool. But as far as I can tell, I can only do hue, saturation, and brightness in alpha, which is still cool. But let's apply LFO1 to brightness. Cool. What's up, Will? Thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it. It's all thanks to you guys that I even got to 2,000 subs. And I also want to be able to rotate it with an LFO. I'm hoping that I'm missing something here, because only being able to apply LFOs to certain places is going to bother me. Let's not solo this. So now we have a circle and we got a box. There's got to be a way to apply more modulators. I wish it was like Serum where I could just click and drag a modulator and like attach it to something. That's the big thing it's missing. Oh, we're gonna go back and solo this guy. Then we have this gate control. Not sure what the channel control does yet. Yeah, if somebody wants to pull up the manual and read it, I'm not in the mood to feel. I'm not in the mood to read a manual on stream, but I definitely do want to play around with this and see if we can figure this stuff out, because that would be cool to modulate. This will be cool to modulate. There's a bunch of cool options to modulate, and we are only getting a couple of them right now. But let's make this one square. We're going to sync all of these guys. This one's going to be an 8th note square. And oh, there we go. Found it. It's not very clear, but I figured it out. We did it together. These are buttons up here, these yellow lines. So this is the first 4 options. These are the next 4 options, and these are the next 4 options. Sweet. So now we can apply LFO to the size and the brightness. Sick. That's perfect. And then I want to apply LFO3 to rotation. Oh, that's a square. Let's go back to our LFO 3, and we're gonna make this a saw wave. Now we want this to be a sine wave, and we're gonna speed this up. Perfect. And we'll go to this one. I'll keep that one a triangle, and we'll also make this one a little faster. And let's put LFO4 on rotation X. Perfect. Now we have a moving, rotating box. Just what I wanted in my life. And great. And I'm gonna tempo sync everything just because I think that'll, if the goal is eventually to sync this to music, we can just have it tempo synced in live. So we're gonna go here, sync that. It's too fast, slow it down. I like that it has like triplets and dotted notes in there. That's good. We're gonna sync this one. Sweet. All right, now we kind of know the basics. We got our basically set of macros. We got our LFO, we got our envelope. The envelope I think has to receive audio though. And maybe it receives MIDI. So we're gonna try MIDI in a second. I do want to try this one more time with like a different thing. So we're going to turn that guy off, turn that guy off, go to 3, turn it on, right click, pick a shape. I know there's a bit of delay on the stream, but if you guys have any requests for different shapes, let me know. This one looks like a lot of fun. There's some cool stuff in here. We're gonna do this one. And we're gonna switch this to be, let's do red. Or no, let's do blue. Great, I'm into that. And what do we got here? We got our alpha control, we got our brightness, we have our speed, our kind of wobbling. We got X and Y controls. We have a spin control. We have a shape control. Ooh, that's super cool. We got our zoom. We got a size control. This thing is dope. We got focus control. Nice. A lot of those seem really cool. All right, and then let's start modulating that. Let's do not the square wave. And let's do this. And let's turn this guy back on. Sweet. So I could see how you could like get lots of layers in here and make some like really cool, interesting stuff between all of the different modulators and shapes and starting positions. All right, let's tone some of these down, make it not quite so over the top. That's pretty cool. And let's play with our alphas a tiny bit more. So we have this one. This one's a square. I'm going to turn that one off. I want it to be smooth. There we go. So yeah, so if anybody is just joining us, this is mostly just kind of a hanging out stream, doing a little bit of video synthesis. But feel free to toss any questions you have in the chat or whatever else. Then you can record it. Cool. Sweet. So we got the basics. I'm still not sure what this channel control does. I was assuming it would allow you to like modulate switching between different channels, but it doesn't look like it. Like assuming these are all called channels, allow you to switch between them. Maybe you could have different presets saved in there. I'm not sure. And let's do this. We have both of those on. Not sure what mono does either. All right. Clock source host, demo disabled, MIDI learn off, MIDI learn on. Okay, so can I MIDI map these things? Interesting. What's up, Tripathi? Welcome back. How you been? That separate window. Great. All right, now I want to get MIDI in here, and I also want to get audio in here and see if we can get this to respond to it. So if I play some MIDI notes, we can see that it is receiving MIDI right here. Oh, this is MIDI channel, I think. That's what that means. Okay, so this has nothing to do with these channels. This is picking which MIDI channel this responds to. So it's picking up MIDI there. Yeah, things have been going well for me. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, this is a video synthesizer, a video synthesizer that I learned about last night that I wanted to test out on stream today. It's just called VS, which just stands for video synthesizer, I'm assuming, made by Imaginando. And so we're just kind of trying to figure out, I was just trying to get the basics of it. And now that we've got some of the basics, we can get this to do stuff. We're now going to get MIDI in here and get some audio in here and to have it start responding to music, hopefully. But as of right now, I play MIDI note and it's allowing me to trigger it. However, it doesn't seem to matter which MIDI note I send it. It just send any MIDI note on that channel and it just sends that in there. Let's see if I can glide it. Interesting. Yeah, so if this is turned, if trigger is set to none, doesn't matter what MIDI note I hit. I set trigger to MIDI, anything, I guess any MIDI note that's on this channel gets sent through and gets sent in there. Oh, and this has to do, monophonic has to do with how many notes I play at the same time. So if I play multiple notes, it's a little hard to tell, but I'm getting 3 of those images at the same time. So I wonder if I do the same thing here. Oh, you can have a different MIDI channel here, send in to trigger different notes. I can get behind that. That can be cool. So in this situation, turn trigger on. And if I play a note, yeah, so I think the idea is you can send any MIDI note on a particular channel and it'll go directly to that particular oscillator. Because it doesn't seem like if I play a lower note or a higher note, let me solo this guy. So here it's hard to tell, but I'm getting multiple boxes, but I might want them to I want to figure out a way to make it so that each time I play a note, they're not all exactly on top of each other. Like they might be going different places. Like maybe if I do glide, so I play 1. No, it always seems to be doing the same thing. But that's cool. So it receives MIDI. Different MIDI channels can be assigned to different, basically oscillators. So you can trigger them with notes. So I guess the idea is that if I have a kick drum or something like that, so say I want to do like a 4 on the floor kind of thing, and I send this in here, you can basically have like your kick drum trigger 1 visual layer. And then actually probably the better way to do it would be to have like a bunch of empty MIDI tracks. Let's go ahead and try this out. We're going to have all right, first off, we're just going to write a drum beat. It's going to be cool. I got some ideas. So we're going to toss in a drum beat. Boom, 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 champ, boom, champ, boom, champ. And we're going to have like a hi-hat between. And maybe a little faster. All right. All right, so we're gonna take something like this, pretty basic hip hop kind of beat. And we're gonna take each one of these sounds and we're gonna have them trigger a different layer in the video synthesizer. And the way we're gonna do that is we're gonna have 3 empty MIDI tracks, like this. Get rid of these guys. And I'm just gonna copy this over here. So on this one, it's gonna be our kick drum and our kick drum only. And then on this one, I'm just copying and pasting them around. It's gonna be our snare and our snare only. And on this one, this is kind of like a long roundabout way to do it, but I think it could be really cool. There's other ways to do this as well that I'm thinking about, but this is just kind of off the top of my head. So we got kick here, snare here, and hi-hat here. And we need to change the MIDI out to go to the video synthesizer. Well, there's different inputs. I'm hoping these are different channel inputs. So this on 1, this on 2, and this on 3. Hopefully this will work. Let's try this out. So we're gonna try just the kick drum. And we'll set the speed monitor in. So that's receiving on 1. So let's actually turn this guy back on. We'll turn it on. We soloed, yeah. Turn this one on. Trigger, channel 1. And then this one we're gonna have be triggered by channel 2. And this one's gonna be triggered by channel 3. So now, kick drum is triggering a circle. Snare is triggering cube. And then hi-hat will be triggering the blue dots. And we might need to play around with the settings here, but theoretically, let's do one at a time. So that's receiving from that. What's up, JNF? How you doing? So it's working. It doesn't look super cool yet, and maybe because we just have too many LFO things going on. But this receives from the kick. And anytime there's a kick, it's when we get a circle. Can we make this thing bigger? So that works, technically. It's happening. Thanks, GNF. I appreciate it. So basically, we're just taking whatever our drum beat is here, having separate MIDI tracks that are all sending out directly to video synth into a different input. So this receives on channel 1, this receives on channel 2, etc. So you got 16 inputs, so you could have 16 different MIDI tracks, each one representing a different sound in your song. And hopefully it would all come together to look really cool. So kick drum works. So we're going to turn that off and make sure our snare drum looks cool. So go in here. So that also works. However, let's turn some of these LFOs down a little bit. Okay, interesting. It's the envelope generator 1 is causing that. Which means theoretically I could go in here and change the attack and release, which is exactly what I was looking for. I'm just going to solo the snare just so we can just focus on that. So if I turn the release down, it should be faster, which is exactly what I want. So this is not an audio envelope generator. This is a MIDI envelope generator. So it receives the MIDI note, and you can control the attack and release to make it slower or faster. And then release here. So it takes longer to fade out. And then I'm not sure what envelope generator 2, I guess this is like an auxiliary one. So this one by default, when you turn on the MIDI generation, it automatically maps it to the brightness. So we could also map this to other things too. We can map this to color maybe. Which is kind of cool. Sweet, I like all that. Let's see if we can map that to anywhere else that seems cool. Speed, size, I guess. Sweet. All right, we're figuring this out little by little. So let's go back over here to our kick drum one. Turn it on. We're going to see that that goes there. And we can just turn this off. For some reason, we're not seeing this one as well. So if I turn this guy off, turn his brightness up a little bit. But when I turn this guy on, interesting. It looks like it's a little hard to see. So I'm wondering if there's like a volume or a priority. There's a priority control, it looks like, by just dragging this around. Like these layers will be the most on top, it looks like. And other things will be behind it, which is kind of interesting. I kind of want to fade them in together. So I'm wondering if there's a way to like link them and put them on the same priority level, perhaps. If I do the opposite, oh, that works. And let's go to the envelope control and turn the release down a little bit on that kick. So yeah, so Janef, you should definitely be able to drag and drop a video file into Live, into the arrangement view. You can't put them in session view, but you can put them in arrangement view. Not all video types are supported, but most of the common ones are. So I think it depends a little bit on where you got that file from or what kind of file type it is. If it's not the right file type, you might have to like convert it from one video file type to another, but you should be able to just drag and drop into the arrangement view and it should work. And then you'll be able to see like the waveform that goes with it, and it should just live on a track in Live. Sweet. So we can change priority there. I'm still not quite sure how Glide is working here. I want a little bit less release. Cool. So we're getting some images here. Let's switch this one up a little bit. Let's see if we can get something that looks a little cooler for a kick drum. Let's do this guy. That kind of works. Maybe a little more brightness on this guy. And then let's put the envelope generator on the radius control. Go in here, film radius, envelope generator on the radius. That's working. That's kind of what I want. Yeah, Janef, like I said, if there's anything going wrong with trying to load up video in Live, it's probably the file type. It might just be a weird file type that Live doesn't like. And I don't remember the kinds of file types that Live does like off the top of my head. But that's probably the first thing I look into. All right, and then let's go in here, and my hi-hat pattern's kind of boring, so let's do bam, bam, bam. Sweet, that's better. And then let's take number 3. We're gonna solo it. And turn it on. And we're gonna have to tighten up our envelope generator situation. And we're gonna have to turn down some of the LFOs. It's a little slow on the response. Oh, it's because this is if I change the pattern here, I need to change the pattern here. Oops. What did I do? Sweet. So let's dive in here, see if we can make this something that feels a little bit more hi-hat-esque in terms of visuals. I want something that's kind of off to the side a little bit. That's my biggest concern right now, is that everything is in the middle. Here we go. This thing is a little off to the side. Cool. And then let's not solo it anymore. Getting better, getting closer, getting warmer. I'm not sure how I like the cube for the, what's it called? For the snare. So let's go in here, change the material. What feels like a snare? Maybe this guy. This one could be cool. Let's try that one. Solo this guy. Change the color a little bit. Yeah, I was like pretty into it before, and now I'm like definitely into it. Now I'm definitely feeling like this has some really cool potential, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of live MIDI stuff. So like maybe not necessarily. I mean, it'd be cool for DJ set too, because you could send out like tempo synced a bunch of MIDI clips with different tempo sync stuff, and that would work really well for a DJ set. However, for doing like live drums and like if you're doing live percussion and playing stuff like that, and have this respond when you're playing notes is really cool. I mean, this is like a pretty basic drum beat, and we can make it do some pretty cool stuff. So let's do things like I want to change the color of the snare every time there's a new snare. So let's go in here and go to the hue control. Let's first go to our LFOs. So we can set our LFO. Let's have a square, but every quarter note, it's a new one. So we got a quarter note square here. And hopefully now if we, I don't want it to be square. We want it to be every time it's a new color. So we want it to be sample and hold. So this right here, if anytime you see an LFO with S and H on it, it's sample and hold, which basically means it picks a value and holds that value, picks a value randomly, and then holds that value for whatever time you have set here. So every time we get a snare, hopefully it should be a different color. I have to map it. That would make sense. So then we map that was LFO2, right? Yeah, LFO2 going to hue. So now hopefully still kind of the same. There we go. Still kind of the same color. Let's try. Why would that not be working the way I want it to? It's doing the thing we want. It's doing the sample and hold. Why is it just holding for so long? When I'm actually playing, when I stop, all right, this is interesting. Seems like a bug or something. Let's turn this off. Okay, now it's working. Oh, you can key map it so you can change it. So it's doing the thing, it's changing there. It's LFO2. It's going to the hue control, which I believe should change the color. I wonder if it has to like be in the middle. That's working better. Cool. Yeah, so every snare is now a different color, which is what I wanted. So I can unsolo this. And I'm not getting all the kick drums, am I? Let's make the kick drum over here. Cool. So yeah, I'm kind of digging this, at least what you can do to like make this sync up with drums. And then if we had like some arpeggiated notes or something like that, maybe we'll start doing that in a little bit, and then response to that. But pretty cool so far. However, there's a better way to do this. So let's think long term. Let's think like long term ease of use. What I'm going to do is, instead of creating a separate MIDI channel for each one of these and sending each one out, and anytime I update my main drum beat pattern, I then have to like go in here and update each one of these, we're going to make our lives a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is that any sound that I'm going to be using coming from my drum rack, I'm going to put it in a rack inside the drum rack for reasons you'll see momentarily. So here's our kick drum. I'm going to take this, Command G puts it inside of a rack. I'm going to open up my chain area, And I'm pretty sure this will work. Hopefully I'm not making this up. If we grab the external instrument, do I want it to be this, or do I want it to be... Let's see if this works. No, this only goes externally. How do I want to route this MIDI out here to another channel? Which effect is going to allow me to take MIDI and route it to another track? Let me think about this, because I want to be able to take this MIDI directly from this particular chain and send it directly out over here without having to do a separate track. I mean, I guess, okay, here's what I could do. I was going to do it a cool way, but I don't think that way works. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm still going to be using these tracks, but instead of using these MIDI clips, this is going to receive MIDI from the drum kit, and I can pick an individual sound like that, and then just send it out directly over here. And do the same thing here. Pick directly from the drum kit, and then this time pick the snare. And then do the same thing over here for the hi-hat. So now, if I play this guy, I don't need these clips anymore. I set these all to be in. Still works. Sweet. I was trying to think if there's like an easy way to, in the inputs and outputs here, to send the MIDI out separately from a drum rack. And I feel like there is, but I'm just blanking on it. Like I was hoping you could use the external instrument to send MIDI internally, but it looks like it's only externally. I think I still have to receive separately here onto separate MIDI tracks, if I'm not mistaken, which I might be. Well, there's no output on the arpeggiator. Here, like we need something that specifically has a MIDI out that we can route internally. Let me think about it. I'm gonna stew on that for a minute and see if I can think of an easier way to do it. But this way works pretty well. You just have the tracks that just receive from the drum kit, output separately to the video synth individually. Still works. So as far as other things in here that would be kind of cool, we could just have one just set up to be our background. Let's turn this guy on. Let's pick a background. That one could be cool. Let's do this guy. Let's play with the color a little bit. And what can we do here? We get the spiral controls, complexity. That looks cool. Density, haze, size. Yeah, I am digging this. So as far as I can tell, so far, we have not been able to get this to receive audio, and I'm not sure if it does that. That might be something we might need to look into and see if there's like a setting for that. It seems to be only responding to MIDI, and it only responds to MIDI notes on different channels. I'm pretty sure you can also MIDI map this by hitting the MIDI learn and mapping that somehow, but I haven't gotten to that yet. So I feel like it's really good for like rhythmic things and things responding, or using the LFOs, using synced LFOs with different timings to map to specific things. So let's try mapping the LFOs here to LFO1 to saturation. And let's go over here and try mapping it to spiral. That's a little too much. I'm gonna go to hardcore. That's cool looking. That's a little too crazy. All right, make this a little more relaxed. Yeah, there's a MIDI learn up here. So if you turn this on, I'm assuming, oh, you click on it, and then let me turn that off for a second. Let me switch modes over here. MIDI learn, and then we could map MIDI learn to like, click on that. See if that works. Push is weird. Oops. That's being mapped to an on-off there. It's not mapping to the knobs that I want it to. I think it's just push being weird. Let's try not using push. So yeah, it's definitely MIDI mappable. And this seems like a perfect situation for the MIDI fighter twister to do its thing, because I got plenty of knobs here, and there's lots of knobs in here. So MIDI learn on. I'm gonna pick a thing. Did not pick up from that. Weird. Let's see, what am I missing here? So that's working. So MIDI learn on. I wonder if there's a preference in here. MIDI preferences. Okay, those are all on. No settings in there. Interesting. All right. MIDI learn worked for a second, but now it's not working. But I think, theoretically, I think it's pretty straightforward. I think you just map it to whatever button or knob you want. The last major thing that I think would be really cool, what does this button do? This scrolls through presets. The last major thing would be audio input. Have this respond to audio, but I'm not sure if it does that. Afterparty, you said it does respond to audio, so that's a way to make this happen. Upper right-hand corner. This is the record. This is just recording what I'm doing. Upper left hand. Okay. We got patch. We got demo, disable. We got clock source. We got MIDI learn. We got a profile. We got MIDI, frame rate, resolution, profile. Yeah, I'm not seeing an audio inputs. That's cool. It's got a little color. It's got a little little help thing here. Yeah, I'm not seeing an audio input still. So this allows you to do MIDI in, VS instrument in, VS instrument out, the output, you can turn them on and off here, and then VS demo out. That's all we're getting in there. Maybe because I'm using the demo version, they don't let it respond to audio. Maybe that's one of the restrictions of using the demo. But right now, I'm just getting MIDI inputs. You could always just read the manual. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything for audio inputs, but for MIDI inputs and just being able to like, cool, I just want to generate some cool, weird shapes. Seems to be pretty sweet. And then making those shapes, let's go ahead and solo this guy. This one's really cool. I'm also wondering if I'm not using the demo, if there are more of these, or if you can like generate your own or import your own. That would be the other cool thing. If you could generate your own layer textures or whatever they're called, or import them, like if you could like make it in a different software and import them, I would be 100% down with this as a video synthesizer, as an option for doing live visual stuff. Because that way I could generate a bunch of weird stuff with my hardware video synthesizer, record it, toss it in here, layer it, beat sync it, MIDI trigger it, and then I'm good to go. Then I'm like a professional VJ or video person. So that would be the other really cool thing. Let's take this one. We're gonna do this. And let's put the LFO on something. I guess the only thing I can control really is the speed. LFO 3 on the speed. Unsolo it. Let's put it over top of this guy. And let's take this guy, turn the brightness down. And now if I play something, you get some like pretty cool, interesting, like layered, textured kind of stuff in there. Now let's get a better drum beat. I think that's the real key here. Start getting some better drums in here. Take that one, put that one there. And let's turn down this 808 a bit. And let's get a snare in there. And let's turn the hi-hat down a little bit. All right, cool. Well, I'm gonna keep this doing his thing for right now because it's cool and I like it and I don't want to screw it up. But I'm on a separate track, so it just has an automatic audio output. So we're gonna start a brand new one, brand new video synth over here. And we are going to turn the brightness all the way down. And then we're going to send the audio here to this VS and set it to in. Not getting anything yet. I'm wondering if maybe that what envelope 2 does. Yeah, not getting anything there. But it does receive audio into the synth, which is cool. This is turned off. Yeah, still not getting it from the, at least from the audio side of things. That's turned on. That's turned on. Oh, it's the amplitude modulator. Sick. And then if you wanted to get it to respond to individual sounds, you would have to either EQ that or something. So I think it actually, I like it better responding to MIDI than I do audio. But if you don't have the option, again, if you're like DJing or something like that, that's pretty cool. Like what happens if we change the preset? And we go in here, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let's see if this works. Yeah. It kind of works. All right, yeah, let's see if we can find that. Oh, I wonder if that's in the modulators over here. I wonder if it's, there we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have attack, release, gain, threshold. So I'm assuming these are different frequencies. That's all the same. Gate, spectrum. Okay, cool. Here's what it is. So this is your MIDI envelope generator. Here is your audio envelope generator, which is based off of a gate, it seems, or you can either gate it. So let's try sending just the kick drum for a second. So we can gate it to the entire thing, and we can change the threshold here. That's pretty cool. I don't mind that at all. Or we can have certain frequencies that trigger it that still have to hit the threshold here. We can choose where those frequencies are. Cool, so let's try this out. Let's see if this works. So we're gonna have all of our drum sounds go in through here. We're gonna have this be envelope 1. These frequencies are gonna be envelope 2. These ones are gonna be envelope 3. And these ones are gonna be envelope 4. Let's do those. Like that. So now we have We go to our modulators. We got envelope 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're gonna have to dial these in. This is gonna be a little trickier to dial in. So this one I think should just be the gate. And then this one, we're gonna map to color. We're gonna have the snare change the color. So we're gonna go in here, get a hue, have envelope 2 change the color. Is that working the way I want it to? A little bit, that's kind of working. And then we could maybe have like the hi-hats trigger saturation. Let's try that, see if we can get that to work. So we could have up here. Yeah, we'll have that go to the saturation. It's a little hard to tell if that's working the way I want it to or not. We'll play with the settings a little bit. You have attack release. Oh, you have also gain control. It works. I think that's cool. It gets you some kind of like interesting, a little bit more natural results when you're doing it from audio, as opposed to doing it from MIDI, but MIDI is a little bit more precise. And I guess theoretically you could kind of do both if you wanted to. I wonder, let's try another one. Let's re-initialize this guy. And let's go to one of these guys. We'll do something like this. Who are there? Interesting. Oh, maybe you can load up your own stuff in here. That's good news. I don't exit out of this thing. Yeah, if you can load up your own stuff in here, that'd be great. I guess that's what B is for. Okay, so B, the B layer here allows you to load stuff in, which is cool. The other feature that I am missing that I would like to see is a global mode, like a way to do global modulation, because as of right now, when I'm applying like LFOs to hue, saturation, brightness, alpha, all this kind of stuff, it seems like it's on a per layer basis. So if I add in like LFO to here, it's not over here. And what I would like to do, and I'd like to hopefully figure out, is a way to just apply LFOs to the whole thing, or have the amplitude modulation applied to the whole thing. I'm not sure if that's possible because each one has different macros depending on which one you're using, but that would be really nice if I could just like, okay, I want to apply this here, and I also want to copy and paste this to all of the other layers simultaneously. So that way everything kind of responds the same. So the other thing I wanted to try is, let's do a basic one. It's going to go back to our just default one. We'll pick something cool for this. I'm going to pick this little space guy. Where'd he go? He's very dark. Okay, that's actually really cool. So we got this little space guy, and instead of just mapping it to a drum kit, which is like kick, snare, hat, we're gonna map it to a whole track and see how it responds different and see if that makes it look cool. Because most likely the situation you're going to be using this is like a DJ set where you're just sending it the entire track at the same time. Also, I'd like to mention if anybody is also just joining us right now, we're just kind of screwing around with video synthesis stuff because I think it's cool and interesting. But if you guys have any questions about music production stuff or just anything in general related to music, let me know in the chat. So I want to take this whole track. This is that remix I played earlier. I'm going to send this out to video synth here. I play this. We want to go in here, go to this one. This will just be a gate, and this is going to go to brightness automatically. So amplitude 1 to brightness. I'm going to turn brightness down. Is it receiving something? It is. Turn the threshold down. This one is very dark to begin with, I feel like. Let's try a different one, see if it's more colorful. Oh, that's why. Let's go back to that one. Jump ahead a little bit. Oh, that's the same control there. It's the same brightness. Maybe that one's just very dark. So it's kind of cool. All right, we're gonna jump over here. Yeah, it's tricky to do with a whole song, especially with something that's like mastered without a lot of dynamics. Yeah, it's interesting. The amplitude envelope generator is like it's a little picky on dynamics and getting things in there. So that's definitely worth playing around with some more and tweaking some of these settings and kind of seeing what you can do with it. But like the spectrum seems very specific, and there doesn't seem like a way to like adjust the width of different spectrum. You would also might run into issues if like there's certain sounds that are triggering the threshold that shouldn't be, or certain ones that should but are not quite loud enough to hit the threshold. So you have to like be on it with the thresholds, especially if you had like lots of different ones at the same time. But yeah, I really like this thing. I'm definitely going to buy this and definitely going to purchase it and kind of see what I can do with it. I am really excited about the idea of being able to load up my own files. Like you could have your own artist logo in there instead of the Imaginando logo, which could be really cool, especially if you could make it move around and play around with it. I don't know why it says B. I'm curious why there's a B but no A. Or like I said, the other thing I'd really like to do is make my own things, make my own little video things with my other video synthesizer, toss them in here and be able to use them in live and not have to use my video synthesizer live. That could also be really cool. I think that the last major features of that would be cool to see or at least figure out is like how you would use this for live performance. Like how does this fit? I'm assuming if you're going to be using this, you want to use it for either making cool little things for like YouTube, so you could put your video up on YouTube and have it respond to the music when you're doing a release or something like that, or you'd want it for live performance, so you could basically take the output of this guy, send it to a projector, project it while you're performing, which is a super cool thing to do. But what would be the best way to get the most bang for your buck and the most money off of doing that while also performing? So while also being able to like focus on music and be able to like focus on either your DJ performance or your music making performance, and have this kind of just sitting in the background, just kind of doing its own thing. And you kind of occasionally tweak things as needed, but it mostly kind of responds to the music. I think the MIDI input is great for that. I think having even a bunch of like MIDI dummy clips loaded up that would just trigger different pulses on either like quarter notes or half bars or eighth notes could be really cool. Yeah, I did notice that there is polyphonic MIDI response, but it just adds more of the same layer as far as I could tell. If there's a way to tweak different instances of the same MIDI note, that would be super cool. We can try it out and see if we can figure that out. That might be an option. Because we got that kind of working before. So if I turn trigger on, and what am I missing here? I need to go into the envelope. Turn that off there. So if I play like one note, then play another note, a third note, each note is just adding more of the exact same layer as far as I can tell. Which in this situation doesn't do a lot for me. And it would be cool to figure out how to make that do more for me. As I play different notes, because that way you like play chords and things like that and have different visuals respond to different chords you're playing, which would be awesome. But yeah, going back to my rant about kind of contextualizing how I would like visualize using this for live performance. MIDI features are great. Running a drum rack to this is great if you're doing live drum rack stuff. For DJing, I think probably the way to go is have a bunch of built-in presets, and then have a bunch of like MIDI dummy clips that you could send into this that are all tempo synced. Like I said, like eighth notes, quarter notes, half bar, bar. So as you're DJing, you could kind of just switch the timing to fit what it is you're doing. And not every single sound would be tempo synced to what's going on, but just rhythmically it would fit in time with what's going on in the song. So maybe a combination of the two, like a little bit of audio response and mixed with MIDI dummy clips is probably what I would consider like the probably ideal way to do this. Which I'll try out sometime. I think probably after stream, maybe later this week, I'll go through, I'll make a bunch of MIDI dummy clips and then make a bunch of video stuff and then try to send audio coming from a DJ template plus the MIDI coming from the dummy clips, and see if I can kind of combine the two in a way that works for me, because I think that's probably the best way to do it. or if you're doing a completely live performance setup, just sending the MIDI directly in here and having different notes or different MIDI channels trigger different things. But yeah, this is a pretty cool synthesizer. I like it a lot. I think for the price, it seems really awesome. Cool, yeah, that would be the last major thing I'd like to figure out is how to get the polyphonic MIDI response on this and how to have each note. Oh, keyboard tracking is over here. All right, here's what we're gonna do. I think I've got an idea. Let's try something like, let's try this guy. We're going to keep that on the envelope generator. And there's keyboard tracking here that we could map to like the x-axis. So that way, as I play different notes, yeah, that's how you do it. It's always much simpler than you think it's going to be. So as I play higher notes, it's over there. Let's turn on the amount here a little bit. And mono is off. So monophonic versus polyphonic. Cool. So that's how you do that. Let's keyboard tracking to x-axis. Let's try other things we could do with that. We could try keyboard tracking to radius. So as I play higher notes, it gets bigger. As I play lower notes, it gets smaller. That's kind of cool. Let's turn the brightness up. Turn the glow up. Let's also add keyboard tracking to glow. And x-axis. So yeah, mixing and matching these modulators is actually pretty cool. So something like that works. That gets the job done. And then let's also put on hue. So different notes have different colors. Make it more obvious. So lower notes down here, different hue. Higher notes over here. It looks like even though it's polyphonic, there's still a maximum number of notes you can get. So if I play one note, and play another note, and play another note, I start to lose notes pretty fast. Here, see how the old ones kind of fade away? So that would be cool to get more polyphony. Right now it's just mono or not, and I don't see an option for number of layers. What's up, Ray? This is VS, which just stands for video synth, as far as I can tell. So it's a video synthesizer. What link? Yeah, keyboard tracking. So that's a fantastic question, After Party. So as of right now, there are certain requirements you need to monetize your channel to get super chats and things like that. And one of the requirements is 4,000 hours of watch time on the channel. And right now I'm sitting at like 3,950. So you can't put a super chat donation in yet, but probably by next week you will be able to. So coming soon, hopefully. Super chats, donations, all that kind of stuff. But as of right now, the channel is not yet monetized just because it needs more watch hours. So Ray, a video synthesizer is basically like a regular synthesizer where you basically have oscillators, but instead of generating a waveform, they're generating a video signal. And in this case, it looks more like a video sampler than a video synthesizer, because what you're doing is you're basically like picking out different video files that you can then tweak. Let's turn that off and then turn this up. Where'd it go? That's because I have it MIDI turned on. So I can like play different notes and it'll generate different video things. And tweak them and modulate them. So it has like LFOs, envelope generators. This one in particular responds to MIDI really well. It also responds to audio. So yeah, it doesn't actually make sound, but it responds to sound. So the other one I made over here is responding to the MIDI, oh, the wrong one, of this drum beat that I made. So each note from the drum rack is basically, in addition to generating the drum sound, is also triggering a video oscillator or sample in the video synthesizer, which I think is pretty cool. So you can use it for live performance, you can use it for creating visualizations, you can have it respond to MIDI, you can have it respond to audio, all that kind of stuff. Email, I'm not seeing a link for something. Did you send me a link somewhere? Yeah, so you can make visuals. I'm definitely gonna buy this and try it out and probably use it for like a live performance thing. So when I'm DJing, I can generate video stuff and then well, I keep on losing my train of thought. I keep on trying to like read chat and talk at the same time, and that's hard to do. Yeah, you can use it to generate visual stuff. You could even like, you can actually load up a video file yourself and, oh, does this have a global section? Maybe. You can load up your own video file, so you could put your own like artist or DJ logo in here and then like tweak that and have it respond to whatever you want. But yeah, big thanks to After Party for letting me know about this. He was asking about in chat on the stream yesterday, and I think this kind of stuff's cool. Yeah, you can't put links in the chat. It doesn't let you, just because they don't want people spamming links through in chat all the time. But you can, after the video is posted, you could post a comment or something like that. But I will check out whatever you want to show me. But yeah, that's kind of, I feel like that's a pretty good exploration of this bad boy. Cool interface. I also really like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there is, not only can you like save presets and all that stuff, you can hit this record button and it just records a video file. So instead of having to like screen capture it or like run this to OBS or something like that, you can just hit this and it's recording a video of this. And then when I'm done, I can just have that, and then it saves it in a folder somewhere. So I like that as a way to kind of like capture whatever it is you're doing. If you make something really cool, you can save that and then use that for uploading to YouTube or promo stuff, put on your Instagram or whatever. And yeah. Most likely there's going to be some kind of output control. I also have not looked for that. I would assume it's in the preferences somewhere. I might not be able to because it's the demo version that I'm using, but I'm assuming there'd be like a video output thing you could use. Because you can detach this thing, make it whole screen, I can use this as a little window. And so you could change that, make that full screen, and then just send that out. What you probably have to do is like a dual monitor thing, like a different setup, and like put this on another monitor somewhere else, and then send that output out through your projector. That'd be probably the way to do it. Sweet. You guys got any other questions, comments, ideas about this guy? Yeah, you just send the output. Like you'd have to like have a dual screen setup or something like that, and then just send it all out. What you would probably want to do to send it to OBS is open up the separate window guy, this little window, and then in OBS you would receive specifically from this window, and it would just be like a screen capture from just this window, because you can specify that, and that would work perfectly, I think, going directly out to OBS. What's it called? Yeah, display capture for just that window is probably what you want. Yeah, that was fun. I don't know if it's like if it's more interesting for you guys as viewers, for me to show you stuff that I don't know anything about. Like at the start of stream, I had never used this before. I had no idea what any of these things did, and I kind of figured it out as we kind of went along together, which to me is kind of fun, because then I get to learn stuff, you guys get to learn stuff, and we can kind of like work through it together. Or if it's more interesting for me to uh, like do that work beforehand, like, and only show either synthesizers or effects or plugins that I'm like really familiar with, and just give you like, boom, here's like the straight up rundown of all the nitty gritty, all the things you need to know. So both I think are fun, but I think different people might like the figure it out as you go, and some people might like the I'm only here for the the stripped down easy version of it. But this is fun for streaming, I think. I think I'm gonna keep doing stuff like this for streaming, because that's kind of the nature of streaming. You can kind of like talk and have a conversation about it. And then if I want to do like a real serious, like, okay, here's the rundown of everything, save that for video content, because that I can keep, keep concise and to the point. Yeah, for €9 a month, or like €100 for the whole thing, seems worth it, especially if you are into doing video stuff. It seems like a really not overwhelming approach to doing video things. I think a lot of other video software, number one, is expensive. Like something like Resolume is super cool, but it is a bit pricey, and there's just a lot of stuff you can do there. Whereas this, it's like keeps it cheap, but also you can do a lot of things, and I think has a lot of cool, interesting, creative potential. I'm gonna check out some presets real quick, because I didn't really check any of those out. Yeah, like when you start combining layers together, it makes it look really, really nice. So some of this stuff is like pretty sweet. Like that one's pretty cool. So this costs, you can either rent to own, I think, for €9 a month, or you can just buy the whole thing for €99. I love the rent-to-own model. I think that's like the smartest thing that anybody has ever done when it comes to software. And so far, at least in the brief, hour and a half that I've been using this so far, does not seem to be super CPU intensive. And that's the other big thing I notice a lot whenever you're doing video stuff, especially if you're looking into doing like a DJ slash VJ simultaneously thing, is that laptops struggle being able to do video stuff and audio stuff at the same time, unless they're like brand new. Whereas this, I'm been able to stream, and I haven't done a lot of stuff inside of Live yet, but I'm not noticing my computer struggling at all doing this. And like the frame rate and resolution of the actual video itself feels really smooth. So I like that aspect quite a bit. So I only have 16 gigs of RAM, but I have the M1. It's the new Mac Mini M1. Uh, so the way it does RAM is different than old RAM, or the like traditional RAM. Um, so it's not that much, but it does the job. Yeah, you can't freeze it, but like you can't see behind my head, but I'm only sitting at like 10, 12, 13% CPU running this right now. And so I've noticed it's being smooth, especially compared to the Max for Live visual stuff that I've done, like in the video I did about Max for Live visuals. Uh, that sometimes hits my CPU pretty hard, and I would be worried about using something like the Max for Live visual setup that I use in live performance. I've used it for live performance, but it definitely it's a little stressful. Whereas so far in using this, this has felt very lightweight on CPU for what it's doing. And again, I think part of that is because um, even though it's called video synthesizer, it seems like what it's doing is like video. Actually, it does some synthesis stuff because you can do things like do weird spin on it, but it seems pretty lightweight in terms of what's going on. But yeah, I will explore this some more and play around with it. I want to do a bunch of dummy clips and see what I can do to like make things kind of sync and see if I can figure out a way to integrate this into my DJ setup and see how that goes. And if it works, I will come back to you guys and show it to you either in another live stream sometime, or that might be a thing I make a video on for the channel. But I'm feeling like we did good work today. We learned a new tool that I like quite a bit. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Appreciate you guys coming in for the special Wednesday afternoon stream. I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer, so if you guys have any questions or topics or things you want to talk about, let me know in the chat. I'm also going to let you guys know that I will not be here on Friday, so there will be no Friday feedback stream, but I'll be back on Tuesday for all the regular streams next week. And if you want to do me a favor, go ahead and just put a bunch of my videos on a repeat so I can hit 4,000 hours of watch time on the channel so I can monetize this bad boy, and you guys can do super chats, and I don't know what else you can do with monetize stuff, but that's we're almost there. And I will most likely probably in the next couple weeks review this synth and do like a 20 to 30 minute video on this. That way, if people want to learn it, they don't have to watch me screwing around for an hour and a half. I can just come in and be like, boom, these are all the things you need to know. Sweet, awesome. Well, once again, appreciate all you guys for showing up and hanging out with me, doing some video synthesis stuff. Check this thing out. If you just search for video synth, it pops up. I don't know what their website's called. Imaginando.pt. This also makes me want to check out some of the other things. Oh, they make okay. Interesting. I'm gonna check out some of the other stuff, some of the audio stuff that these guys are doing. I've used LK before, but they got a granular synthesizer, they got a polyphonic synthesizer. I'm gonna check out more stuff these guys do because this thing's cool. I also thumbs up on the design and the interface. It looks really clean. The only thing that's hard to figure out was that these are buttons right here. But other than that, I mean, we've kind of figured everything out as we went through. So I like this company. I like what they're doing. Support it. So go check them out. See if you like any of their other softwares. But I'm definitely going to try out a few more things that they make. Sweet. So cool. That's going to be it for today. Thank you guys. I will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Make some music. Do some fun stuff. Take care of yourselves. Get some sleep. All that kind of stuff. Have a good rest of your evening. Later.